Hey everyone. If you're new here, my name's Mike. Welcome to Wilder Insights, my podcast highlighting stories from the world of environmental conservation and the people who protect it. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, but you already know the drill. Today's episode is part 2 of our Urban Bears series. So if you missed episode 1, I suggest you give that one a listen first. The goal of these episodes is to spread awareness about urban bears, what brings them into our cities, and the changes we can make to prevent that. Remember, a fed bear is a dead bear. So anything we can do to prevent the habituation of bears in our communities is ultimately saving their lives. In today's episode, we're going to continue my conversation with Nicole Botten, president of the Northern Bear Awareness Society. I also sit down with Vanessa Uschenko to discuss poop. What can bear feces tell us about the health of bears in our backyards? Find out how you can get involved. Like I mentioned before, my name is Mike Bryden. You're listening to Wilder Insights. Stick with us. You're smart. Come on now, don't be so hard on yourself. And after listening to part 1 of this series, I can confidently say that you're bear smart as well. But unfortunately, most towns and cities can't say the same. It's in the title of this episode, but what exactly is bear smart? Looking at your website, I came across the term bear smart a good amount. Could you tell me what it means to be bear smart?
Okay, so Bear Smart is a provincial program, and it's sort of designed to encourage communities to do all the things it takes to prevent human-bear conflict and to promote coexistence with bears. So the Bear Smart Communities program has, I think it's 6 criteria that communities have to meet in order to be certified as a Bear Smart community. And there are surprisingly small number of communities that have actually attained that certification.
Really?
But Prince George at times has been working towards it, and with a significant amount of help from the Northern Bear Awareness Society, I will say. We have a bear biologist named Lana Ciernello who works with us. She actually is one of the people who started our society. She doesn't live in Prince George anymore. She lives somewhere else, but she still consults with us, and she did a lot of the work towards fulfilling the criteria by creating a human bear management plan. She did an assessment and a management plan to be used by the city or whoever else is responsible for doing all the things it takes. So that includes an education program, but also assessments of natural bear foods around the city and where they're located, and wildlife, like travel corridors throughout our city.
Right.
So that, for example, it might be desirable to sort of remove a few Saskatoon bushes from certain areas to kind of prevent the bears from kind of following a certain path into a community.
So Prince George is located right at the intersection of 2 major rivers, the Nechako and the Fraser. Does that have anything to do with funneling bears into the city at all, or? Yeah,
for sure. The 2 rivers are part of the amazing bear habitat that we have in our city. So they will travel along the riverbank. They are good swimmers, so they can cross the river. So yeah, it's definitely the rivers, and also all the amazing green space that we have in our city. I remember hearing a long time ago that Prince George is one of the greenest cities there is, and not green like recycling, but green like trees. And,
the color of the city.
Yeah, parks. We had so many parks. We're really fortunate, and we love them, and we love the trails that connect them. But wildlife also love them too.
Yes.
So that's part of it.
I see black bears almost nightly on evening walks in the spring.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
They're all over the place. It's true that Prince George has a lot of green space. Within the city limits, Prince George is home to 106 kilometers of trails and over 1,500 hectares of parks and green spaces. And beyond the boundaries of the city, It is surrounded by endless forests, rivers, and wild spaces. An understandable pit stop for a bear passing through. Can we touch on some of the projects that the Northern Bear Awareness Society is working on right now?
Sure. So we always have lots of really interesting things on the go besides our education program. So the education is our top priority. But we do other things. So right now, one thing that I'm working on is a public screening of a documentary that was made recently by a filmmaker who came here from France to cover this story that she heard about. I know that Europeans are fascinated by bears, so that's part of it. But she heard about the conflict in Prince George with bears and garbage and so on, and that's part of what drew her here. So she made this documentary film. It starts and ends in Prince George, and she also visited, I think, 4 other communities in the province. So it's sort of a broad look, and it's fairly concise. It's only 35 minutes long, but she spent a few days with Northern Bear Awareness, and because it's so short, there's only a little bit of the footage that she made in
right
there. But we're super excited to show it to everybody. So we're going to have a public screening. It's a bit of a fundraiser as well. We'll have maybe a little silent auction or something, but mostly we just want people to get to see it. So it'll be free of charge. So we'll be announcing that soon.
That's amazing.
Oh, really? Like we do little things like related to fruit, the Fall Fruit Fest. Just because we always want to encourage people to use their apples from their trees. We're sponsoring the applesauce and apple jelly divisions at the Fall Fair, the BC Northern Exhibition. I don't know if you ever go into that Kin Center where they have like baking and the biggest vegetables and even Lego sets and things that people made. That's what I'm talking about there. So if you have your own apples and you turn them into jelly or applesauce, you can enter it for $1 or $2, depending on your age. You can enter the contest and somebody will judge your jam or jelly or jelly or applesauce, and you could win up to $20.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's pretty good.
For applesauce.
Yeah. So that's what we did. We sponsored it. We upped the prize money. So it's $10, $15 or $30 or $20. So.
No, I love that method for these kinds of projects, like really getting people involved. They're not just being told something, they're involved in the whole process, right?
Yeah, try to make it a little fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do want to say one more project that we are working on. It's a longer term project.
Absolutely.
So our garbage cans that we have are not secure, right? If you don't have a garage to put your garbage can in and it has garbage in it, it's pretty hard to keep it away from a bear. You can use a ratchet strap. You can use a shed, but most sheds aren't actually secure enough because bears will just wreck them to get at the garbage if they want it. So for many other reasons, one of the biggest reasons being that Prince George has more human-bear conflict than any other community in our province, that we believe that we're a perfect candidate community to have bear-resistant garbage cans. So that's my roundabout way of saying that we have a long-term plan to hopefully get the city to buy some. Now, you might have heard about it a bit in the media. They have, right now, the answer is no, or I think it's like not right now. They're not going to get them. They keep tossing around the number of $10 million, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what they're not saying is that that's for every household to have one. Not every household needs one. We just really want certain areas of our city to have them, because what it would mean is that garbage would be secure all the time. So the garbage cans, they are expensive, but they're very well engineered. They are locked all the way around the lid, and they have some metal reinforcement. They only, you don't have to unlatch them to get the garbage out. You just leave them at the curb, and when the garbage truck turns the can upside down, it just opens. So then it's secure even on garbage day. A lot of people would really like to have them, and in fact the city did a pilot project with 300 households a few years ago, and the people who had those cans really liked them. So
So are you suggesting that instead of every household has them, just the households that need them have them right now?
Yeah, there are lots of different ways that they could go about doing it. First of all, we like with our maps that we make every year of where the conservation officers get calls about bears getting into garbage. We know where the problem areas are. We know where the high bear use areas are, and also where people don't have adequate storage available.
Okay, I see.
So those areas would be prioritized, or even just one of those areas for the first year. And then, like you said, maybe not every house in that neighborhood needs it. Some people could opt in or opt out. As long as they're managing their garbage in some way, then they don't need to have one, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Just out of pure curiosity for myself and not for the podcast, where are like the hot spots for bears in Prince
George? I could
George?
go on the podcast. It's fine. So, like, pretty much like all of College Heights and the Heart. Mostly, the closer the street is to the greenbelt, the forested areas around the edge of those parts of town, the more bears they have. But they do wander through all of College Heights. And like North Chaco and the Heritage area. The thing is, if we could make the outskirts, like not the outskirts, but those areas adjacent to the forest, not attracting bears to garbage or other things, then the bears probably they won't as likely go further into the city.
Right.
So as they follow their noses and get garbage, they'll just keep walking, wandering further in. But if that neighborhood where you live has bear-resistant garbage cans and maybe a couple streets in, then it's less likely that the bears are going to go further in because nothing's really attracting them to that area.
Yeah, they think like, hey, there's no use, right? Like everything we come across, we can't get into, so
it's not interesting.
Why push forward? Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially like a trail, like a breadcrumb trail of garbage cans that kind of leads them in.
It's almost like putting a force field around the city in a little bit, like you're just doing the outsides, right? And
yeah, kind of.
Sort of. Maybe that's a little more futuristic than I was saying. If anybody wants to get involved and volunteer with the Northern Bear Awareness Society, how could they do that?
All you have to do is email us. So our email address is nbasociety@gmail.com. We have a volunteer coordinator who will write back to you and give you a list of the jobs that are available. And you could be involved at any level that you like. Yeah, one of the easiest jobs that people start out with is delivering brochures to mailboxes. People seem to like doing that because they want to get out for a walk anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get to talk to people along the way, which people like too.
Totally. And you said the fruit cleanup is also an option? And
yeah, the Fall Fruit Fest. If you want to pick fruit, that's another fun thing. We're going to try to attract a lot of students because that can be sort of like you said, community building, even amongst the volunteers themselves.
Totally. It's just fun.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And if anybody we invite anybody to join our board meetings. You can come as many times as you want. If you're interested in joining the board of directors, you can. There's absolutely no pressure to do anything. Some people on the board don't really do much usually, unless something comes up and they are really excited about it and they have time, or we really need some help, then but some people do a lot. So it really depends on what you want to do.
If people want to read more about bear awareness or the Bear Aware Society in general, where can they go to find that?
You mean like our website?
That'd be it. Yeah.
Yeah, our website is northernbearawareness.com.
Perfect. Right now, the Northern Bear Awareness Society is looking to recruit volunteer pickers for the Prince George Fall Fruit Festival, being held September 5th to 7th in 2025. They're also in search of property owners who would like their fruit picked. They wanted to remind me that they prioritize picking fruit for property owners with mobility challenges, and that fruit will be distributed 1/3 going to the property owners if they want them, 1/3 going to volunteer pickers, and 1/3 being used to make food products like applesauce for food insecure members of the community. You can sign up to volunteer by emailing nbasociety@gmail.com or following the link I provided in the show notes. Volunteering is a great way to meet like-minded people by doing your part to ensure your community thrives. Picking up fruit to aid in bear conservation is one thing, but what if you could help scientists learn more about bear health by picking up poo. This is Vanessa Uschenko.
My name is Vanessa Uschenko. I am a senior researcher at the College of New Caledonia Research Forest here in Prince George.
Vanessa is a researcher at the College of New Caledonia where, alongside Dr. Laura Graham, has developed a research project that uses bear poop to tell us about a bear's health, diet, and hormones. Here's Vanessa on that.
So I'm working with Dr. Laura Graham, who is an expert in endocrine studies. So she's actually really developed a lot of the technologies that we're using for this project. So she started out in zoos, and she's worked on animals from like polar bears to Asian elephants and everything in between. I originally started this idea back in 2023 when we had that really bad berry crop.
Yeah.
And all of the bears came into town, and so many got destroyed that fall. So it's like, okay, what does this mean for the input? Like, what does this impact bears? Like, what's the sex demographic that's being impacted? What's the age demographic? And then what does that mean for local bear populations? So I really wanted to do this last year, but we just didn't have the capacity. And then Dr. Graham came and wanted to do some research. So she's relatively new to CNC. And she's like, hey, this is my expertise. So I was like, okay, let's revisit this project and see what urban bears are doing. So we know that food drives most bears into urban areas, but there's a lot of other factors that can actually drive bears into cities. So like competition out in the wilder areas, so the more rural areas. So you can get like sows that seek cities with their cubs for protection and security against like bigger boars that would want to kill the cubs. Like air quality can really drive bears into cities. So with the increasing wildfires we've had in the last few years, it really impacts their sense of smell. And if bears can't smell, they can't find food. So they just know that, cities have food. So like they'll come into the towns. We want to see what is driving bears besides food into these urban areas.
Right. We've heard this before. In part 1, we went into detail about these attractants. We know it's fast calories. But what else do we really know about these bears? So
through the endocrine studies, through feces, we can actually look at stress metabolites. We can look at, stress hormones, metabolite hormones, like how well they're actually digesting their food. And we can also look at sex hormones. So we can actually determine the sex demographics of bears that are actually using these urban areas. And our goal is to better inform our partners like the Northern Bear Awareness and the Conservation Officer Society and the City of Prince George in these are the problem areas. These are the demographics of the bears here. This is what their status is in terms of like health and stress. And then how can we better manage these areas so that, we can reduce the bear human conflicts and stuff like that. So that's the goal of the project. Yeah. Using poop.
So you're collecting scat for this project to determine all like the health situations of these urban bears. Mm-hmm. Are you comparing that to non-urban bears?
Yes, we are. So we're really fortunate that Dr. Graham has worked with zoos all over Canada and beyond. So we're actually partnered with the Calgary Zoo and just recently the BC Wildlife Park in that they're sending us their poop samples from their captive bears. So these are bears of known age, known sex, and known health status that we can compare our samples to these captive bears. And then part of this project is also collecting bears from rural areas. So when we're out in the bush doing our research projects, we're also looking for fresh bear scat. We're collecting it, and we're bringing it back to analyze so we can compare zoos versus city bears versus rural area or more wild bears, I guess.
So you're going out into the field and you're collecting the poop with your field work. Yes. But with this project, you're also asking the public to go out and send in poop samples if they find them?
Yeah. So part of this is really involving citizen science. So we really want to get the public involved in this bear research. So we actually have a poop hotline.
Nice.
Just for this project.
Poop hotline.
It's a poop hotline. So people can text us their photos of bear poo or just bears. And then their general locations. We really want to protect people's privacy. We don't want to have names associated with personal addresses.
Right.
So if you see a bear, you just snap a picture of the poop Or I guess if you find the bear poop, not the bear. Makes that clear. So you can either text us and we'll come and get it for them, or if they want to help us collect it, so they collect the entirety of the sample, and then you have to just write your general location, so street name, the date you collected it, and then put it in the freezer or in the fridge. Some people don't like to put their poop in the freezers, but
fair enough.
And we also have a drop box or a drop fridge at the college.
Why do you think it's important to know the health of these urban bears? Like, what can that tell us about why they're in the cities and how we can make change to maybe stop killing so many bears in town?
Exactly, yeah. So what you just said was like the reason we're doing this project. So we want to know what's driving these bears into urban areas. Why are there so many wildlife human conflicts in some areas? And then how can we better manage either like attractants or just human behavior to kind of mitigate these situations, because we don't want all these problem bears killed, right? Like stress plays a really big factor in why bears will start to attack people, show aggression, and why are they stressed? Like, is it just because they're living in proximity? Is it because they actually have really poor body condition and they're just trying to get as much food as possible? And you get aggressive when like you get closer towards the winter and they go into like they're feeding frenzy, so they really need to get as much fat as they can to make it through winter, or else they're not going to survive, right?
That's called hyperphagia, right?
Hyperphagia, yeah. Yes, exactly. So we just really want to know, like, how can we help these bears potentially get out of the city for one, and then and if they can't, how can we coexist with them in a better way that doesn't involve in fatalities?
A bear's feeding habits changes with the seasons. When a bear emerges from its den in the spring, it's left incredibly skinny from the hibernation it just woke up from. During this season, they eat whatever's available. During the summer months, food is more abundant, allowing bears to chow down on a variety of meals. But as fall approaches, bears enter a period known as hyperphagia, a period of intense eating that allows them to gain enough weight to survive the winter to come. During this time, they can spend up to 20 hours a day foraging, consuming more than 20,000 calories daily. If food is scarce during this period, a bear may become more desperate and therefore aggressive in search of food. Hangry, if you will. Why do you think Prince George is such a hotspot for this?
Because we live in a beautiful area that's surrounded by so much forest. Like, just living in the north, we're so fortunate to have so much wild space around us, and because of that, we have to live with wildlife, right? Like,
it's just part of it.
Bears are everywhere, and bears love food, and we have a lot of it.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any ideas of what kind of changes could possibly be made, or is that something we'll figure out once we have the data?
I think it's going to be something we figure out once we have the data. I think really changing the public's opinion on living with bears is going to be the biggest obstacle.
100%.
A lot of people not a lot of people, but some people have that mentality of, oh, I live here, I don't have to change my my attitudes or anything that I do to accommodate for bears. Bears, like, who needs them, right? Like,
right.
It's an urban area, there shouldn't be any bears here.
Exactly. They see them as like a problem animal rather than like...
Yeah, like actually bears were here first before you.
Exactly,
and they're becoming a problem because we keep developing into these huge, vast open areas that are prime bear habitat, like UNBC. Like, there's so much bear habitat around here. And
totally.
We have lots of developments coming in, so it's really... The bears aren't winning.
No. Well, what got you into this project to begin with? You've talked about Dr. Laura Graham, but you didn't talk about how you got interested in this bear project.
I love bears.
Yeah.
I have always loved bears ever since I was a little kid. Like, anything I have in my house that's wildlife related is usually somehow a bear.
Yeah.
Like, I just love them. And I was really upset a couple years ago when we had that really high mortality of all the bears in the city just because the berry crops failed with the late frost and they had nowhere else to turn to for food, so they came to Prince George.
Yeah.
I remember I was driving out to work, and there's this beautiful black bear that got hit by a car up on the Heart, and it was just laying there and its head was on its paws, and I was just like, it was such a shame, and it was such a waste that it was just this beautiful animal that got hit by a car because it was turning to urban areas because it needed food. So it's like, how can we stop this? Or how can we potentially limit the amount of mortalities that are associated with bears living in urban areas, whether it's being destroyed by conservation officers because they are a danger, or, vehicle collisions in urban areas.
Right. We are just being proactive is the thing. Like, most of these bears, if any, actually started an attack or anything, right? When they're in the city limits?
Yeah, no, they're just bears that become habituated with a food source, usually garbage. They stop showing fear towards people.
Right.
So they stop being stimulated by, bear bangers, anything like that, and then they become dangerous because they're not afraid of you. Yeah.
It's so sad. It's such a poor situation, and it leads to needless violence. And
oh yeah, no, it's and then you do get into issues with like dogs getting attacked. People can get attacked too, and the conservation officers do a really good job at stopping that before it happens. But it's a shame that they have to stop it to begin with.
100%.
And how they stop it is most often killing them, because relocation of bears doesn't always work.
And why is that?
Because bears can travel really far distances back to their food source. So if they're at a known food source and you take them away, you have to it's hundreds of kilometers away. You have to relocate them because their nose is that great. And they can go right back to their food source. That's
insane. That's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's really dangerous too. So if you're starting to relocate bears into areas where they haven't been before, they usually relocate them into a territory that a bear already occupies. And depending on the bear, it can go really badly. So if you introduce, say, a young boar, so a young male bear, into an area that has a big boar and that's its territory, you can actually have fatality because the big boar can kill the newcomer bear, right?
Right. So all that work you put into relocating is really for nothing in the end.
Yeah. So it just kind of creates you're kind of killing the bear regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't usually work. The conservation officers earlier this year were telling me that they relocated a sow with a couple cubs up Cranbrook Hill. Way out past the Salmon FSR. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the area.
I know
so
the
a couple 100 kilometers away. And within 2 or 3 days, the bear was back at the exact same spot that they relocated it from on Cranbrook Hill. Yeah.
They must just be walking nonstop for that to be the case.
Yeah, and she was with 2 young cubs too. So it's really hard on the cubs too, right? Because they're traveling such long distances and there's already a food shortage. So it just really you don't really win. So the best plan is to just kind of stop it before it becomes a problem. And that's what we're trying to do. It's why is this happening, and what can we do as a city to work together and try and stop bear mortality for bears.
So what's your boundary line for collecting scat in the city? There are some, we mentioned, this is a very wild city. Right around us everywhere is greenery and parks. There's some parks just outside of town. If people were to send in scat from a park 15 minutes out of town, would that be considered urban because it's a recreation site? Or
not necessarily recreation. So anything sort of outside of city limits. So if you're at a rec site, it'd probably be more of the rural bear samples, which are still very valuable to us, and we're still collecting them. We're going to collect them right up until the end of October, until bears go into hibernation. But we're really just looking for bears that are interacting with humans. So we have a great lady who wants to volunteer out in Haldy Road who was collecting bear scat for us out there. And it's really just anywhere where bears do have access to human garbage in a relatively regular quantity. So if you go and dump a bag of garbage out at a rec site, the bear might eat that, but then it's not consistent. They're not consistently exposed to that.
Right.
So we're not really looking for that per se. It's more just areas that have higher human development. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How can people find your project?
So on social media, under the College of New Caledonia, they're doing a really great job at promoting our project. Northern Bear Aware is going to be handing out some of their brochures, and we have little inserts in them. We also do have our poop hotline or a general research email that people can send us emails or text messages and get more information about it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it on their CNC website too, but things can be a little bit slow sometimes.
Of course,
so,
yeah. So you're wanting this to be a multi-year project, and you're running from June till October each year? Or?
So my hope is to have the project run and collect scats from the entire period that bears are active. So late March, early April, up until late October, early November.
Okay.
I'm also really interested in seeing what the bear's condition coming out of hibernation is, in urban areas versus, more rural, urban, like wilder areas. Is the quality of food that they're getting here adequate enough to sustain them at a healthy body weight throughout the winter, as compared to bears out in the bush that actually have, access to really high quality food, berries, ungulates,
right,
squirrels, anything like that.
That's a really interesting question to explore because, They, in town, they might be getting more calories faster. But is it the right calories? Is it what they really need to sustain the winter?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah, this year was a little bit delayed just with getting the project actually took off really quickly compared to when we started moving on it, which is amazing. Like, we've had so much support from the public already. We're getting a lot of samples, a lot of people that are interested. Which
That's
is
great.
Amazing to hear. Yeah, but I do really want to capture samples from that emergence time, like when the bears are coming out of hibernation, all the way through until when they go into hibernation again.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. If you want to help out with this project, all you have to do is give up your bear poo. When you find a bear turd, snap a photo and write down its general location. You can text this information to the poop hotline. The number for that is 778-349-4813. From there, you have two options. Either someone will come collect it for you, or you can collect it yourself. If you choose to pick up the poop yourself, I'm sure Vanessa would be really appreciative of that. But they want to remind me to tell you to use a clean plastic bag, collect as much of the sample as you can, and label the bag with the date and its location. The fresher, the better. You can store the sample in your fridge or freezer, and then drop it off at the fridge outside of the Geodome greenhouse at the main CNC campus in Prince George, BC. If you're listening to this episode in the future, this episode is being recorded in June of 2025. This project may still be active, but be sure you check on the CNC website before collecting your bag of poop. Links to their website and more detailed instructions can be found in the show notes. This is an example of a local project out of Prince George, BC, a northern city with an abundance of bears. But these actions, these next steps that an entire community can take to move towards a more bear-safe city, is just an example of what any town is capable of doing. So my final question is there any misconceptions about bears that you'd want everyone to hear?
Oh.
Maybe a myth to bust?
I'm not a bear expert by any means. I'm a huge bear lover. Bears can run exceptionally fast. You cannot outrun a bear.
Right.
Bears can run up to like 30 miles an hour and they can sustain it. Bears can also run downhill and uphill. So running around hills will not help you.
Yeah, with their size, you wouldn't expect them to be that fast.
Yeah, they're pretty agile. They're immensely strong. It is amazing.
Yeah, and you're not safe in a tree either.
No. Do not even climb a tree if you have a grizzly bear, because a grizzly bear with enough adrenaline will shoot up that tree after you, then you're out of luck.
Yeah, land, water, trees, you're not safe.
No, you cannot. You cannot get away from a bear unless maybe you're in a vehicle.
Right.
That can go faster than 30 miles an hour.
And that's the problem with habituated bears, right? Because they're not scared of us. They're just going to be coming towards us.
Yeah.
And if it were to get defensive or predatory, worst case scenario, then this is when you need to know, like, you can't outrun a bear.
No, yeah. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. And if it's white, say goodnight.
Say goodnight. Yeah, that's what they say.
Which is very unsettling. Thank God we don't have any polar bears around here.
Oh, man. Thank God. In the 7 grandfather teachings, a set of Anishinaabe guiding principles to living a good life, the bear represents courage. Bear possesses the ability to overcome challenges and stare fear in the eye to protect its young. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. It's right to want to deter bears from our homes. They are powerful creatures that are determined to survive and protect their own. But they can also teach us how to confront our own fears, stand up for what's right, and to find strength in ourselves. A bear does not enter a city because it likes to. It enters a city because it wants to survive, and the rewards it receives from doing so have become way too easy. I encourage everyone to take a look at how you're living right now. Are you doing everything you can in your household to prevent unnecessary bear deaths? I hope these episodes have helped lay out a blueprint for the changes you're able to make and how you can do your part in your community. This is Bear Country, and it's time we learned how to live in it. Thank you to Nicole and Vanessa for taking the time to speak with me. There are a lot of good people doing a lot of great things, and I'm grateful to have had a couple of them on this show with me. Like I mentioned before, if you want to learn more about how you can collect fruit or how you can collect poo, there are links to everything you need to know down in the show notes. I want to thank the C4 radio station, located in Prince George, BC, for providing me with the facilities needed to record this podcast. And an additional thank you to the band Funeral Culture for allowing me to use the song you're listening to right now. And a final thank you to you. Thank you for listening. I'm just a guy with a microphone who's been lucky enough to meet some amazing conservationists. Sometimes it surprises me that people actually want to take the time to listen to this, so thank you. If you want to help the show grow, tell a friend. And if you've enjoyed this episode, consider giving the show a rating on your podcast app. And I want to know, have you ever had a bear acting mischievous in your neighborhood? Tell me about it in the comments. If you want to become a guest on the show, know somebody you think would be a great guest, or want to share a conservation story of your own, email me at wilderinsightspodcast@gmail.com or send me a DM on Instagram at wilderinsightspod. New episodes on the last Friday of each month. Thanks again. See you next time.